for joining us again for another episode of the Taboo Tater Tots Club.
Where we talk about anything that interests us, whether it be political, general taboo-ness, or sports. We're not gonna fucking talk about sports, because fuck that shit. How are you doing today, Nick?
Sports!
Hey, so, you're gonna do this podcast alone now? Because I quit.
You quit?
I quit podcast.
Why?
Because sports.
We don't have to talk about sports. I mean,
Anyways,
unless football season is happening, we talk about it for like 2 minutes, but it doesn't have to be.
No, you will talk about it for 2 minutes.
That's fine. That's
I'll
fine.
just be here like, huh? What? Anyways, I want to start off this episode by saying that I am sick. I know I said it in the episode yesterday that we recorded.
The last one, yeah.
But I said it like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Because I totally spaced it, so I just want to start out by saying I am fucking sick. So my annoying ass voice now sounds sexy and nasalized.
Sure. We're in the same room, however we put up some stuff on the walls that'll absorb some of the sound.
Redneck acoustic foam.
Otherwise known as floor mats from a car.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll sound a little bit better. I listened to it and I heard some echo. Just not a whole lot, but a little bit. So hopefully it's
There's a difference between reverb and echo.
Okay.
I think you were hearing reverb. Reverb.
Reverb.
This kind of sounds like a Phineas and Ferb character.
Okay.
How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm fine. So a little tired. I had to wake up a little bit early because my wife decided to not remember to tell me that she had a doctor's appointment today. So she woke me up at 12:30 because I usually come in at work at 4. I usually wake up at 2 because I sleep all night. Or stay awake all night. I can't talk.
That's kind of a problem since that's part of your job
Yeah.
right now.
But yeah, it's just a little bit tired.
Well, like I said, I'm fucking deadly sick. Sicker than I was yesterday, surprisingly.
Yeah, so this one might be a little bit short. We'll try to go at least an hour and a half, but it might be a little bit short. We don't know.
Yeah.
Depending on how Morgan feels.
I'm gonna try and stick it out for the long run, but if I'm not feeling good and my throat just cannot handle it.
This might end up being a short episode, and we might throw it up on the Patreon once that gets going, but who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, so today we got some actually planned shit. I know, shocker. Today we're starting with Tales from, right?
Tales from Tech Support.
Yep.
r/Tales from Tech Support. We're going to do some Reddit content. I promise we're not going to transfer over to only Reddit content. We'll only do this maybe once or twice a month. Just because it was fun.
And we did it a little bit in the last episode, and it was genuinely fun until I started getting pissed off.
Yeah, that was a little hectic.
In a fun way, though.
Yeah. So I found one already, and then I haven't read this yet. So if it's good, it'll be good. If not, then oopsie daisy.
Okay, so a little background for me. I am
Background.
I am a computer builder. That is my passion in life. I want to start my own business building computers. Like in an actual shop. That'd be cool to me.
Yeah.
Why did I enunciate the P?
Shop.
Which comes with the territory of tech support. So if your computer's not starting up, chances are I can figure out why, and 90% of the time I can fix it. The other 10% you're gonna need some type of hardware or something like something broke. I can diagnose it, no fucking problem though,
Yeah.
So I did not go to any type of schooling or anything like that for tech support or computer science or anything like that. The most I have in in terms of formal training, is I took a C++ course when I was in high school 1 year.
Yeah.
And
Is that how you say it? C++? I always heard C sharp.
no, it's C++ and then C# is a different language.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, there's C, I think, and then there's C++, and then there's C#. Or C# if you're fucking stupid.
Okay.
So, but that's about as far as my formal training goes. I'm good with JavaScript, Python, HTML, and obviously C++ and C#.
So you're not just a script kitty.
No, I'm a all-around hands-on person.
I don't even know what that means. I've just heard it on forums.
Neither have I. I honestly never even fucking heard of it. And even if I did, I'd probably just be like, fuck you, and just keep on walking, you know.
Yeah. So, do you actually have any stories yourself that you want, like 1 or 2 stories? Because I could tell 1 or 2 stories.
Okay. Ooh, you know what one you should do?
Huh?
You should do the
Like personal stories is what I mean.
if. Do you know which one?
Oh yes.
That story. That's
Yes,
a good one.
I can do that
I
one.
fucking love that one.
So my background, I've kind of told it before, but I actually worked at an internet company, and my version of tech support isn't exactly computers or any sort of device. It's strictly internet. So wireless internet, anything to do with, they're called point-to-points. So if you don't have a direct line of sight to a tower, if you need a point-to-point, you would have your router would go out, the cord would go outside, and then connect to one point, and then it would shoot to a different point, like a tiny little radio dish antenna that's pointing towards the router, and then behind it would be another dish that would shoot to the big dish off way butt fuck nowhere, where you can get a direct line of sight. So that kind of stuff I'm pretty versed in. And
I legitimately did not, mainly because I never cared enough to look into it, but I legitimately did not know that that's how that worked.
yeah, no, if you don't have a direct line of sight, and say you don't have a I remember specifically one instance where this person was out in the middle of nowhere, and they needed 4 hops to get to their neighbor's fence, so it could be pointed towards the south, I think it was, to a tower that we had.
Yeah.
And I remember that was a big deal because the 2 people got into a big old fight, and the neighbor was all like, I don't want that shit on my fence no more, and legally we had to take it down and say, well, without that point-to-point, you can't have our service, I'm sorry. And then the guy got so mad that he threatened to come down to the office, and this dude lived somewhere in Cuna, I think. Come down to the office and shoot everybody dead, basically, if we didn't restore services. And we're like, legally, we can't do anything about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fucking shitty how one person can fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Just because, in like the fence, if you think about it, the fence line does not belong to anyone technically, because it's splitting the 2, so they share it.
Well, technically, there was like a international waters type thing where the one dude's property line ended here, and then like 3 or 4 acres down was like a neutral ground, and then right where the fence is, of course, is where the other dude's property started. So, I can see where you're coming from, but in that instance, I don't think that was the case.
That's just how, in an ideal society, I would look at it.
Yeah.
Buddy, go down.
Buddy, go downstairs. Go.
Did you already
Go.
Did you already pause? Oh.
Yeah, we had a visitor, sorry. But yeah, mainly internet, and then point-to-points, a little bit of tower stuff I'm pretty knowledgeable in, and then like frequencies, that kind of goes hand in hand with the internet, but also
Like radio
routers.
frequencies, or is that a different thing?
Yeah, radio frequencies.
Also, essentially the thing I do with the scanner.
Sort of, but the stuff that we had to deal with was
I'm not gonna say it's the exact same, and
yeah.
or that mine is harder, because obviously not.
without going too deep into the internet router lore, the frequency stuff that I dealt with was like, oh, there's too many different things blocking up this channel on the frequency. Let me move you over, because there's the 2.4 gigahertz and then the 5 gigahertz, and both of those frequencies have different channels. Sort of is what they called it, and then like if a bunch of stuff was on channel 2 and there's a couple of things on channel 5, I can move them down to channel 8 and that would probably solve the frequency issue.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'll tell a couple of stories that are kind of funny in my experience.
That was actually
yours.
That was actually very, very interesting to learn about. I wouldn't care if you talked more about it.
Really?
Because I love learning new shit when it comes to technology. Listeners, on the other hand, probably not.
So it's kind of funny because we had a guy. We can talk more about frequencies. That's fine. We had a guy who lived in, I think, gosh, it was somewhere up north, and he's like, yeah, I'm moving to what's the fort? The military base? Like the entire city's basically just a military base. I don't remember what it's called.
Mountain Home?
Mountain Home, yes. There was a
First
guy
of all,
who
it's not a military base. That's an Air Force base.
Air Force base. Air Force military, whatever.
And second of all, my brother lives close enough to that where he has called me and he's like, guess what I just saw? I guess we're both aircraft enthusiasts with a special interest in military technology.
Yeah.
He'll call me and be like, I saw an A-10, and I'll be like, you bastard.
Oh.
Because like A-10 is my favorite aircraft right now.
Yeah.
It has been for a while. Or he'll be like, I saw 3 Blackhawks and they were flying in formation, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I've actually been on that Air Force base, so fuck you.
Yeah. So the funky thing about specifically wireless internet, because most things around here are ground based, meaning through like either fiber or copper wires or even
and fiber is better than copper, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Or even cable. Like I don't think PMT does. Well, I can say that because it's like all over the state.
Yeah.
I don't think PMT does cable wiring like through the television cables. I don't think they do that anymore. But I know that some smaller places do. The difference between the two is that ground internet is a lot more stable, even though it's a lot slower.
So, in other words, there are trade-offs.
Yes.
With
wireless internet is you can get higher speeds, but it's a lot more susceptible to like the weather. Or there's a thing, I don't remember specifically what it's called.
So, sorry, I keep cutting you off,
you're good.
but you keep bringing up points, and it makes what I've experienced in my life with internet and technology in general, it makes so much fucking sense. So, I've always noticed that the internet will either completely go out, or it will be really, really shit when the weather is really shit.
If you have wireless internet, yes. Sometimes it can affect ground cables, but hardly ever. If it's like gale force winds and like snowing cats and dogs, it can affect it, but it's mostly just the wireless internet it affects.
It's crazy that you brought that up because I thought I was the only one that ever like noticed that, but apparently
that's a real thing.
It's like a scientific thing, and I didn't know that, so I'm just like, yay!
So wireless internet is basically shooting invisible laser beams to your house. And even though these invisible laser beams are not tangible, you can't grab it out of the air, they are very real. And
hard to hit a moving target now, isn't it? Wrong type of laser?
Yes, wrong type of laser. These invisible lasers, all they do is carry data. That's all it does. Yay.
You saw the look on my
remember,
face.
yes.
I was trying not to say anything.
I had my Coke next to my feet again on the table, so I did that.
And me being paranoid tech guru and that's what we're called, right? Tech gurus?
Sure.
I think that's a term I've heard.
We were going to call ourselves Grand Wizards in network operations, but we're like, no, we probably shouldn't call ourselves that. Anyway,
Did you know that the KKK had different ranks
yes.
in their organization?
And the highest you can get is Grand Wizard.
Yeah.
Or at least in your region, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're just an MMO.
A little bit. Yeah.
Like, if someone was fucking coding a game based around the KKK, I'd honestly probably fucking play it.
Red Dead 2.
No,
you can find
like
random KKK meetings and you can slaughter them like the animals that they are. Not just the women, but the children. Not just the men, but the women and the children too.
okay.
Anyway,
But no, like if you played like as a member of the KKK, and your entire goal was to like climb up the ranks and then at the end just kill everyone.
oh, that would be wonderful.
Like you're undercover and then you're like, yeah, fuck this shit.
Anyway, the funny thing about the military and wireless internet is when if there was ever a time where they had to scramble jets, and do any kind of military operation within the United States, they would contact the FCC, and the FCC would contact the internet company and say, hey, everything that you're doing right now needs to be put on a halt until this is done. So, if there's a military base, like in Mountain Home, they do drills, once a month.
A lot.
And
Actually.
so, the internet company I worked for refused to do service in Mountain Home because of that reason. And there are sometimes, even like out here, like once a year, they'll do like an emergency test of the system, and the FCC will shut us down for like 10 minutes. And the reason why I won't tell the name of my company is because I don't want the whole company to implode, because they did something illegal where they're like, oh, you want to shut us down? Okay, we'll just factory reset everything and bring us back up. Which is extremely, 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 extremely fucking illegal. Because if something were to happen and the military had to do some sort of operation in the streets, and the internet company tried that, all of their communications would be interfering with all of the internet floating around in the air, and they wouldn't be able to get anything out. So that's why it's extremely illegal. And if the government found out they were doing that, they'd get shut down hardcore really fucking fast.
The FBI requests your location.
Well, the FCC and then the federal government would probably come down on them. Yeah.
So FBI.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
So if you live close to a military installation and your internet sometimes goes down for no reason, that's most likely why. But with the frequencies, I'm going to give you the same spiel that I gave people over the phone. So
so I get to act entitled for once?
As long as you don't swear at me, we'll be fine. I don't.
That's your one fucking regurgitation? That is not the word.
Look, we were allowed to hang up on people if they swore, just said "fuck this" or something like that. We couldn't hang up on them, but they're like, "You're a fucking idiot." Then we were able to hang up on them.
Fuck, shit, God, stupid.
Well, if they were berating us in any fashion, but especially if they were swearing at us, directly at us, then we could hang up. We were allowed to hang up. But everything has a frequency that's electronic. The microphone that we're using has a frequency. The fan has a frequency. Your fucking microwave has a frequency. And especially if you use older microwaves, like I had this lady calling one time that was like, oh, my every single time I use my microwave, my devices disconnect from the internet. And this is true for newer microwaves too, but only if you get really, really close to it. Like if your phone is connected to the Wi-Fi, it will disconnect if you're like 10 feet away from it and you turn it on. Um, but older microwaves are really bad. And we're like, yeah, you can't. It's probably super old. If it's like older than like maybe 30 years, which why would you still have a microwave that's older than 30 years old?
Because I'm nostalgic, motherfucker.
Sure.
Click.
Literally everything has a frequency. And if you have, there are, I believe, so the 5 gigahertz band is a lot stronger and more steady, but it doesn't have as long of a reach. And then 2.4 gigahertz has a longer reach, but it's not as steady. So if you're like, so if you're like,
I'm never doing that again.
if you're between 20 and 30 feet away from your router, you could probably be on your 5 gigahertz band. But if you're like outside and you're like 80 feet away from your router, if your router reaches that far, then you probably want to be on the 2.4 gigahertz. But if you have, and they both work on the same Wi-Fi, right? They're just different versions of the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if
that much I knew.
So let's say you have a 5x2, which means 5 download and 2 upload, and you have 3 devices. You have your cell phone, you have your Roku, you have a tablet. And that works for you. Because that bandwidth isn't very big. I like to kind of say that it's like a water hose. You can't have, like, the width of your water hose or whatever, the hole, can only filter through so much water. And people don't fucking realize that, especially not our sales team. Because they're like, oh, you want to stream 4K television and have a cell phone and have a tablet and have a laptop and have smart security and all that on the same thing? Oh yeah, 10x5 is fine. It'll be fine. 10x5 is cool. Like, no, the fuck it won't. Like, if you narrow that 4K streaming down to like 720p, maybe, with that many devices, cause like. One time I had this it was really fucking funny because they randomly listened to one call per day throughout the day, the big bosses, just to make sure that you're doing your job.
Quality assurance.
Yeah. But they accidentally they I wish they hadn't have, because that was really embarrassing. But they listened to this call where I'm talking to this lady, and she's like, oh yeah, my internet's been really slow, and I've been trying to reach you guys for a while, but I guess I keep on calling you guys out of business time, but can you help me? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I could go into the software of their router and look at exactly sometimes exactly, not all the time it showed up, but almost exactly what was on her router connected to it. And she, mind you, she had a pretty big plan. It was a 20x7, I believe it was. So 20 download, 7 upload. And she had, I think, like 17 to 20 devices on it.
What?
Yeah, and they weren't, so if she had a security system with like 10 cameras and a doorbell, that would be understandable.
Yeah.
You could definitely handle that. But no, they were all Samsung Galaxy, yada yada, Apple TV, yada yada, Samsung, yada yada, tablet, smart TV, computer.
Man,
and
fucking bitch was making her fucking social security work.
yeah. And I accidentally whispered to myself, like, holy shit. She's like, what? And I'm like, nothing. How many devices do you think are connected to your Wi-Fi? She's like, oh, maybe 5 at most. No. And I was like, okay, most people don't realize this, but even if your device is completely off, like, it's still plugged in, but it's off, like this laptop. If it were closed, but I hadn't turned it off completely before I closed it, it would still be pulling data. By the bit. But it would still be pulling data, right?
So that bit starts to add up when it's...
Yeah. And especially
30 fucking devices.
Yeah, and especially if it's that much, because like you don't know if like 6 of them are running background updates or they're all completely shut down or whatever. Because even if it's completely shut down but still plugged in and pulling power and still pulling those tiny bits of data, it'll still show up on there. So I'm like, yeah, you have like nearly 20 devices. And she's like, oh, that's impossible. I'm like, no, it's not.
Wait,
and it's funny because people don't fucking believe you either. Because like, there's no way in hell. And I'm like, even if they're off, but the power is still plugged in, and they're like, well, even then, I don't have no 20 fucking devices or whatever. I'm like, I can see it.
Did someone come in and like fucking break into your house just to fucking use your Wi-Fi?
Actually, that's more common than you would think.
Is it really?
Yeah, because we will, a good indicator of if this person is actually telling the truth and they don't have that many devices, or if they're bullshitting to try and get better internet or whatever, a good way to do that is to factory reset the router and then change the password. And I'm like, people are like, there's no way, so I'm like, okay, well, a good rule of thumb is to do that. And we go through the process, we change the password, I do it all on my end. And then if those same devices show up, then they're fucking theirs. And if not, then somebody's leeching off their Wi-Fi. And I think, I would say half the time, but I would say a good like 35 to 40% of the time, someone is leeching off of their Wi-Fi. With the frequencies. There are, I think, because they're separated by twos. Because switching them over one single channel isn't going to work very well. It's not going to do a whole lot of difference. So let's talk about because the 5 gigahertz channels are weird because they go like 580, 590, 600, 610, like that. Those are the channels. But the 2.4 gigahertz are pretty simple because they start at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
So they go by
go like 20.
twos.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not going to say 100% that's for sure because it's been a while since I worked in internet, but I'm pretty sure. But anyway, if there are, let's say somebody actually does have 20 devices, and there are 3 devices on channel 2, there's 6 devices on channel 4, and there's the rest of them are on channel 8. I would probably move them over to either channel 6 or channel 10 because you don't want them. We'll pause this for a second. Don't know what they were barking at, but anyway.
Probably a fucking cat.
Or somebody walking by, yeah.
Or 10 cats.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is not a stretch where I live.
Yeah, there's a lot of cats walking around. But yeah, you don't want them to be too close together, so I would personally try my best to get one device per channel. If not, get 2 devices on each channel and then have one or 2 channels empty. Just in case something else happens, if they bring a new device into the home or if somebody like borrows their Wi-Fi or whatever, just so that it usually they will auto-propagate. They'll automatically propagate into the correct channels. But if there's a ton of devices or if the router is kind of old, because usually our routers lasted about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, then they kind of start getting congested. But the issue with living in a very packed city like Boise is that if you have 3 people in a row that have our internet, and then you have somebody across the street with somebody else's wireless internet, and everybody within a 3 or 4 house radius all has about 10 devices, you're fucked. There's no saving you. I'm sorry, but you need ground internet because there's no fucking saving you. And even then, that might not clear it up. Because other people have a wireless internet around you. So if I go in and look and see that that all frequency channels are clear, then I can do a external frequency check. And if you have 75 points of contact with your frequency from outside sources, you're just fucked. There's nothing you can do. Get out.
Run! The zombies are coming!
The frequencies are bombarding your router, and there's nothing we can do. I'm sorry.
The Nazis are coming! The Nazis are coming!
Yeah.
So, one time I got brought a computer. At one point, it was probably a very nice computer. At one point.
Yeah.
So, and contrary to popular belief, computer, like desktop cases, they're pretty fucking durable.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty rugged. Obviously, if you drop it off of a fucking skyscraper, shit's gonna go bad, you know, but
Yeah.
within reason, they're pretty fucking rugged. So, I get brought this computer, and so this person was a friend of a friend's mom.
Mm-hmm.
So he messages me and he's like, "Can you take a look at my computer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not a big deal." And so he brings it in to me, and it is rattling like, and I don't even fucking know. It was rattling like a toddler with a fucking bucket full of nails.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's a good analogy, but
Yeah.
and so I'm immediately, my first thought is immediately, what the fuck, you
Yeah.
know? So I set it down on the workbench, which was a table, pretty much what we're using now,
Uh-huh.
except for it was like the standard, like white one,
Mm-hmm.
the picnic tables,
Yeah.
you know? And there was just a metal, like, piece of scrap metal folded over the case
Oh.
where the glass should have been.
Oh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And those glass panels are pretty durable for glass, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I took the fucking sheet metal off, and I'm gonna stop here and say I still have fucking nightmares about this
Yeah.
to this day. Like, nothing was where it should have been.
Yeah.
Like, the motherboard, for starters, was completely unthreaded.
Mm-hmm.
The processor had come out of its seat, I guess.
Yeah.
The actual term fucking evades me right now.
Socket.
Thank you. The graphics card was split in two, and the fucking RAM sticks were just in a bunch of fucking chunks. They weren't RAM sticks anymore, they were RAM chunks.
Did they throw this thing in a dryer?
And the fucking hard drive was probably the most intact piece because it only had a fucking dent that looked like a fucking rock had smashed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a boulder, not a pebble, just like you pick up a rock, it was about that size, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it looked like someone had just thrown it constantly at this fucking hard drive. So I looked at him, and he goes, and I'm like, what the fuck did you do?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck happened? Because I had never seen anything like this. So, and there was even liquid that got all over my hands. I don't know where the fuck that liquid came from.
It wasn't like a cooling type deal?
No. Standardized air cooling.
Oh. What the fuck?
Right? as far as I know, nothing else should have goop. Whatever. I don't feel like fighting with them right now. Hi.
Hi, Taco.
So, there was just like black goop all over my hand. And obviously glass shards were everywhere. So I was like, dude, what the fuck happened? You know, what did you do? Taco? Shush. Yes, hi, you're cute. Yes, you're cute.
I think they need to go out.
We're gonna take a break.
Black goop.
Anyways, we're back now. Sorry about that. Nice.
Thank you.
So we were on black goop. I had black goop all over my hands. There was fucking shards of glass everywhere. Like, it was just, I don't normally wear gloves unless I'm doing something that requires a little bit of added protection. Examining a PC, I normally won't wear gloves. I put on fucking leather ass gloves while I was poking around. And I picked the leather gloves because I didn't feel like getting fucking cut. Leather, you don't want to wear when around technology. You want to wear rubber.
Okay.
So I look at the guy and I go, what the fuck happened? You know? Like, what did you do? How did you get it in this state? Like, and it was a nice ass graphics card too. It was like top of the line a few years ago now. So it was a pretty chungus graphics card.
Chungus.
But you know what I mean? It's pretty thick.
Yeah, that's a thick ass boy.
Yeah. And it fucking killed me seeing it and split in half. Have you ever tried to split a graphics card in half?
No.
It's pretty goddamn difficult. So, what do you think this guy did to get this computer in this state?
I have no idea. No clue whatsoever. No earthly clue.
It is literally the dream, or the thing nightmares are made out of.
I don't know. Did he fuck it?
No, but that would have been a lot better.
Oh no.
So, for some reason, he had it in the trunk of his car.
Huh?
In the middle of the night, while street racing.
Oh.
The trunk didn't latch, or I don't fucking care.
It flew out of the trunk?
It flew out of the trunk and got hit by another street racer and then pushed into a ditch. Like rolled into a ditch.
I'm surprised it wasn't worse.
No, I just don't have the fucking descriptive ability to convey how fucking bad. There was nothing left.
I see.
Like, obviously there was things left, but there was nothing in its place.
Can we fix it? No, it's fucked!
So, I'm like, okay, first of all, why the fuck were you street racing with a computer in the trunk, you know?
Maybe you forgot to take it out?
And this was like a $1,000 rig.
Oh, wow.
Just judging from the parts that were in it and just the quality and everything.
What kind of car was he driving, you know?
I didn't think to ask. I was
going to say, in some instances, maybe that thing was more expensive than the thing he was driving. If it was a shit bucket.
But it got hit by another street racer. Going, and they were on like a straightaway on the fucking freeway or whatever. So, and according to him, They were fucking mopping 100 plus, easy.
Wow.
So, take the fucking force of being lobbed out and hitting the ground, and then get hit by a 100-mile-per-hour at least projectile.
Yeah.
And then get it thrown into a bunch of rocks and weeds and dirt. Like, it was fucking... And I still don't know where this fucking goop came from.
It was a symbiote, like in Spider-Man 3. It was an alien sludge.
Thank you. As if I didn't have enough nightmares. No, like, I cannot convey how bad this was. But it was horrendous. So he's like, can you fix it? And I just kind of looked at him. And I was like, what is your budget for this?
Please, my son, he's very ill.
And he looks at me and goes, I don't know, $100? That's what I said.
You can suck my dick for $100. Fuck off.
So, I'm like, bro, I would have to buy each individual part, like, independently from the manufacturers. Because I didn't do the fucking, like, store shit, you know?
Yeah.
Because you never know what they do to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want it straight from the source in that case.
Yeah. Computer parts are like tattoos. You can't get good shit cheap, and you can't get cheap shit good.
Same thing could be said about women.
We're not going to go into the implication of purchasing women.
Okay. Do you want to go to Abuse Smart later?
Abuse Smart?
I don't know.
Okay.
So, I'm like, dude, I would have to order all these fucking parts individually. And keep in mind, these were pretty high-end parts. Like, parts that I didn't even have in my computer at the time. Because they were so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And apparently this had come pre-built.
Oh.
So, I'm like, I would have to fucking order all the fucking parts. I would have to fucking rebuild it. I don't even know where to fucking get this fucking glass paneling, because I never thought I would have to fucking look to get the fucking glass paneling. Luckily, it's not that hard. You can get them off of like fucking Amazon and shit like that.
Oh.
But at the time, I didn't know. So, and I'm like, there's this problem, there's that problem, this problem. I still don't know what the fuck this shit is.
The goop.
Yeah. And he's like, so what you're saying is,
Just buy another one.
$100 won't do it, right?
Fucking no.
And I was like, no, you're looking at least $1,500. Easy. And he goes, I don't got that kind of money. And I'm like,
Well, I don't have the time to deal with your bullshit.
Yeah. And normally I didn't charge to take a look at a computer, you know, and diagnose it, you know.
Just for wasting your time.
I mean, I was like, well, I will take that $100 you're offering. He's like, what? Why? You didn't do anything.
Diagnostics, bitch.
And I'm like, $50 for fucking getting goop all over my hands. Unknown goop, mind you.
Unknown goop, yes.
And $50 for putting up with your bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully, and you should be thankful to me for this, I'm waiving the stupidity tax.
The stupidity tax instead of gratuity? Gratuity, yeah.
And he was like, I fucking hate you. And I was like, join the club, bitch. So, I made $100 for essentially nothing.
Yeah.
Which,
That's pretty good.
Is that scummy? I feel like that might be a little scummy.
A tiny bit, but, you know.
But I feel he deserved it.
A little bit.
Especially because this guy was a fucking woman beater.
Oh.
So.
I see. Happy to take your money.
Yeah. And I may or may not have gave an anonymous tip to a certain authority figure department.
I see. Taco, you can stay up here if you don't whine like an ass.
A certain authority figure department.
Yes.
About the street racing.
I see.
So, whether anything was ever done about that, I don't know. But if we can get a wife beater off the streets for really anything, I'm gonna fucking take that chance, you know.
Yeah.
But I was already planning on charging the hell out of him just because I knew he was a wife beater. So did that make me scummy?
A little bit.
Still, really?
Just a touch. Just a drop in the ocean. Yeah.
Okay, I can live with that.
Okay.
I'm a scumbag.
No, you're
a scum drop.
Yeah, sure. So, when I was working at the internet company, I ran my own little shift for a little bit. I was basically a shift manager without the title and without the pay.
Yeah.
And
so basically,
like
one of
3
those.
people.
So basically, it was one of those corporate fucking promotions, but with like the corporate fucking trickery.
Well, see, I was the fool because they're like, oh yeah, we need somebody to cover the shift at night because we're firing the shift manager at night. And mind you, this was between the hours of about 7-ish and what time do we get out of there usually? Like 10-ish, like 10:30-ish is usually when we got out of there. So not a whole very long shift. And I was the fool because I was like, oh, if I get that position, it will probably lead to managership, right? Like an actual title and an actual pay raise. And they're like, sure thing, buddy. That never happened. So I was the fool for vying for that job. But mostly because the shift manager just kind of sits there and does these things called tower audits and little busy bee work, and they don't actually take phone calls unless it's a manager call. That's mainly why I wanted the position, because I didn't want to do work and still get paid. There was many nights where I just played solitaire. Because they're like, oh, you have to actually be doing something on the computer, so you can't just sit there on your phone, and you can't just sit there reading a book. And so I'm like, but as long as I'm on the computer doing something, it's fine, right? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, so I can play solitaire? And they're like, officially no. And I'm like, unofficially yes. And they're like, shut up, Nick.
Those are the kind of bosses I fucking love, though.
Yeah.
Like, officially no, but unofficially go do whatever the hell you want.
Like, as long as shit gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one particular night, we were experiencing an outage in all of, like, I think it was southern Idaho. So, like...
Oh, when was this?
I don't fucking know.
A year, I'm meaning.
Maybe 2021? Maybe 2022. Because I got hired in 2021, got fired in 2022. So, probably towards the beginning of 2022.
Okay. Wait, what did you do to get fired? I thought you quit.
No, I got fired. Because...
you are fired!
Just because the company was doing some stupid irrational shit that I didn't agree with, and I allowed people under my watch to discourage the company. And I'm like, but I'm not even a manager. And they're like, but you're in the position of manager. And I said, so I'm being fired for something that I'm not officially doing. And they're like, yeah. And it wasn't just because I allowed it to happen, it's because I joined in on the shit talking.
Well, freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So therefore, they broke another thing.
I wanted to sue him for wrongful termination, but
Determination.
yeah. But the lawyer that I talked to said that I probably wouldn't get very far because their lawyers are very, very litigious and they have very good lawyers.
So that's another thing that makes our fucking justice system so fucked. If you have a good enough lawyer, you can do whatever the fuck you want and get away with it.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, this night in particular, we had an outage in southern Idaho, and we were getting calls up the wazoo. But my boys were just answering the calls like, "Hello, may I make the assumption that you're in southern Idaho?" Yes? Okay, well, we are actually experiencing an outage right now, and we are doing our best to resolve it right now. We are on top of it. Thank you for calling. And then they would be like, okay, thanks, and just hang up. So we were getting shit tons of calls, but they all lasted like 10 seconds.
If that.
If that. So I was just kind of standing around my boys, just being like, good job, yeah, good job. Yeah, there's 72 calls in queue. Good luck, I'll be right back. I need to go talk to NetOps. So I walked across the building. It was literally 2 hallways away. And walked in the NetOps office, the network operations is what that stands for. And I was like, hey, what exactly is going on? And they're like, oh yeah, this, that, the other thing. I'm like, sure. And the manager of NetOps was actually there because I guess it was that big of an issue. And I kind of was peeking over his shoulder, and he used to be in tech support. He was like just leaving tech support as I got there. So I kind of knew him by name. So I was like, hey man, what you doing? And he's like, oh, just doing some code. And I'm like, oh, hey, have you tried if crash then don't? And he just stared at me, and he goes, holy shit. And he's like, it's down anyway. So he types that in, and he hits run, and no, it actually broke worse. All of eastern Idaho went down for like 5 minutes.
That was your fault?
That wasn't my fault. I was like, wait, why did that affect eastern Idaho? And he goes, because each sector is linked to another sector. They're all wraparounds. Like, there's redundancies and everything, and just...
Well, not enough, apparently.
Apparently.
Because your fucking dumbass walked up and it was just like, hey, try this.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, if crash, then don't. And he's like, you're a genius. And then, you're a fucking idiot. And I'm like, I'm not in trouble, am I? He's like, no, because I was the dumbass that said that was a good idea. I didn't get in trouble for it. But I came back. But when I came back into the tech support room, somebody's like, did something else break? And I'm like, no, why? It's like, there are literally 600 people in queue. And I'm like, oh my fucking god. But by the time I came back, that number was starting to trickle down back to like 100 or so. So I'm like, well, it got fixed quick.
If crash then do.
Yeah.
That's how they fixed it.
Yeah, probably.
If crash then do.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I've never heard the full story behind that. So
yeah.
The entire time you're telling this story, I was like, and then you got to that point where you were like, I knew this guy by name, you know, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I kind of caused a meltdown.
And not just a mental one either.
Yeah. I almost actually basically exploded a tower too. Because we were doing sector audits, which are like, oh, this specific tower can only handle a pass-through rate of like 1.5 terabytes or something like that. And so we're like, okay, this tower can only handle that, and these sub dishes are passing through this much, and the customers on it have this big of a plan. Let's move around and lessen the load if we can. And I saw.
Just get a couple of females to do the job. They'll lessen the load.
Okay. You're dumb.
You're just now realizing that?
Yes. No. Anyway, I saw a customer called Teton Towers or something like that. It was basically a lodge up north, near the Canadian border that we service. And I didn't.
I know the place, yeah.
It was like passing through like
Nice.
two gigs down and 1 gig up, and I'm like, holy fuck, what the hell? And I like went to my superior and I was like, hey, what the fuck is this? And they're like, oh, that's like a lodge up north. And I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of explains it. And I'm like, well, this tower is kind of reaching into the red zone. What do I do? And they're like, do not move Teton Towers. Do not move Teton Towers. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, I get back to my desk.
So wait, what do I do then?
Well, the smaller packages, they said that tower is usually in the yellow anyway. So just move like 3 or 4 littler plans until it gets into the yellow. If it's in the red, it's not a horrible strain, but we like to keep it in the yellow. Like, okay. So I go back.
Because I thought green was good color.
Well, if for towers, like I know specifically there's a tower in Cuna, and there's a tower in Emmett, there's a tower in Coeur d'Alene. I know those 3 for certain are almost always in the yellow because those are the only towers in those areas.
So it's a lot of load for one tower. I get it.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, those areas in specific were due for either an upgrade or a build for another tower.
Or demolition.
I don't know about that, but
dude, I would love to have a demolition job. Just start throwing grenades at everything.
I don't think you would want to blow up a internet tower like that. But
Wanna bet? I'm fucking insane, bitch. Try me.
That's called domestic terrorism. Anyway.
No, it's called domestic violence.
Okay. No. What? No. Anyway.
Because there's nobody being terrified.
Okay. I got back to my desk, and I had already had the Teton Towers selected for a sector move. And when I got back to my desk, I forgot that I had done that. And so when I went to go move another person off of that tower onto the neighboring tower, I forgot to deselect and then select the new one, and I accidentally moved Teton Towers. And immediately, we got like almost like 3 seconds. Move, 3 seconds, we got inundated with at least 30 calls in queue. And we're like just immediately, my superior that I had talked to just seconds ago was like, what did you do, Nick? And I'm like,
I don't know yet!
And she just ran over to me and then like scooted my chair, didn't even tell me to stand up, just shoved my chair over. I almost fell on my ass too.
Oh, I would have loved to be there for that.
And she starts opening things up and moving things, and then it took her about like a full minute to do what she was doing, but then she just like slammed her hands on the desk and went, okay, crisis averted. What are the phone lines like? And we looked over at one of my coworkers' desks and it's like, okay, it's starting to slow down now. And then she's like, if anybody gets Teton trees, tell them crisis averted. And then she's like, Nick, I think you need to go home. And I'm like, I think so. I'm tired and I'm scared.
Did you get in trouble for that, or?
She just made me go home. Other than that, no. I didn't get in trouble.
Because that sounds like a genuine accident.
Yeah, no, that was a genuine accident. And I think that day too, I was tired as fuck. I think I pulled a back-to-back where I had to stay over a little bit late. Because usually the normal tech support goes home around 10:30, but
there's nothing normal about you.
yeah, but NetOps, that too. NetOps usually stays there past midnight sometimes, and there's always at least one person manning NetOps at all times. And that the night previous, I had to stay there to help him, help the NetOps manager clear something up. I don't remember exactly what, but.
But overall, did you enjoy the line of work?
I enjoyed the mystery of it. I enjoyed fixing problems and solving puzzles.
Yeah,
and
that's for me. That's my favorite thing to fucking do too, is the diagnosing and the troubleshooting and all that.
Yeah, we're already an hour and we haven't even touched Reddit yet. So
Let's go get into Reddit then, boy.
yeah, let's do it.
Wait, you're done with your story, right?
Yeah. We can go into personal work stories at another time.
Oh, I forgot one thing about my story.
Oh yeah.
So the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing that plugs into the wall that powers everything in the computer. You know, kind of the important part.
Yes.
I couldn't find it.
Oh. I see.
Which, given the fucking state of the rest of the fucking computer, that's not a shock.
Hold on just a second.
That. So,
Oh my fucking god!
what?
Okay, really quick here.
Do we need to pause it?
No, we're good. I sent this lady a message saying, what are the other file types you accept? She says .eps or .svg. I sent her one of each of this design we want on the shirt. And she said, these are still not transparent, but I'll see if I can make it work. I said, how much extra is the artist's fee? Because I can send you the original PNG file. It's definitely transparent. I know that for a fact. And she says, to get it drawn up into a vector file, it would be $40 per hour. However, I might be able to get the PNG to work as long as it is good quality and it looks exactly how you want it to print. I told this bitch at the shop, I said, this is a very high quality image. It is 2100 pixels by 1500 pixels, and it is at 600 DPI.
And it looks very, 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 very fucking good.
Yeah, and I showed it to her too.
Before she was like, yeah, we can do it. We were both there.
Yeah. So.
Did she just now message you?
Just now, yes.
Lovely. Just fucking lovely.
So let me send her the PNG really quick.
Yeah, we're gonna hit pause. We're gonna get this figured out. And
well, I literally just need to send her.
Well, I also need a moment to fucking cool off.
Okay.
Because I am livid at this point.
Yeah, give us a second. Okie dokie. We got that email squared away, hopefully.
Someone won't be special.
Okay, so we got a story from r/Tales from Tech Support from user RadarMan2. It says, true story, this happened to me personally. Several years ago, I worked for a well-known UK telephone/broadband network. One fine sunny day, a little under a year since I had started and within probation period, I received a morning appointment job. 0800 to 1300 hours is when you have to be there. I phoned ahead, no answer. I drove, knocked on the door, nothing. Knocked again, nothing. Knocked again, and finally a very bedraggled, long-haired gentleman appeared at the upstairs window. I explained who I was and watched as realization dawned on him who I was and I was invited to go through the unlocked door and to come upstairs to the flat. I promise I am not that bad at reading. It's just some of these are very not good grammar.
It's British dialect, not American dialect. So there's a little bit of a difference in terms of grammar and all that.
I reiterate, I was within my first year, still a probationer, and as such was generally worried they'd find something to get rid of me for. I hoisted my tool bag and entered. As I ascended the stairs, the most horrendous smell hit me and only got worse the further I went. By the top step, I was retching. Fearing I'd actually throw up in someone's flat, I noticed a slither of light from the window he'd answered at earlier and rushed past some boxes to open it and envelop clean air. Having composed myself slightly, fully opening the curtain, I realized that the smell had been a mix of man fell asleep on the sofa every night, mixed with general uncleanliness and a heavy dollop of cat shit covering the floor. I counted 17 in a square yard. The gentleman looked slightly puzzled by my dry heaving, but was mortally insulted when I held my breath and left the flat to return with latex gloves, overboots, and a half-face respirator. Think gas mask without the eye bit. A noisy line is what had been reported, so I progressed to discern the source of the noise. At the phone socket, a slightly yellowing fluid substance seemed to be the cause of the circuit corrosion. I tentatively took a sniff and realized it was cat piss. Socket replaced, tests finished, provided line clear, and then I turned to tell him the cause. Do you want a cup of tea? No, I don't, my brain screamed. No thanks, my voice actually said. The noise was caused by the cats peeing on the socket. But they go in the litter box. No, they don't. It's clean. They go everywhere else. The floor is covered in it. I'm done. I say my goodbyes and resolve to never set foot in there again. 2 weeks later, noise false, same flat, job comes to me because I was there last. I knock on the door wearing overboots, latex gloves, and a mask. He answers the door, sees me, and says, I've cleaned since you were here. We go up there. True, he has attempted to clean, but the magazines are stuck to the carpet by substances unknown. The noise fault is again due to a yellow liquid in the socket. I change it again, test everything, prove line clear, and tape a bag to the wall as a best effort attempt. 2 years later, the new tenant of the flats is having the line upgraded and is wondering why the landlady is insisted on no pets. Apparently cat urine is a very good corrosive.
I'll keep that in mind in case the robots ever take over.
Yeah, it wasn't black sludge, but you know, pretty close. Yeah, so we will pause and find another story real quick. Okie dokie, we found another one. Let's get it on.
So this is called Tech Tales from the School Support Team, Me, by Dranesk. I'm going to assume that's right. Over 20 years, I have been the technician at a couple of schools. All the requests for supports were from well-educated, intelligent people. But why is it that as soon as IT rears its head, they lose their wits? Call to the classroom of the teacher in charge of IT. Wait, what? Call to the classroom of the teacher in charge of IT. Okay?
Okay.
I thought the guy we were reading, I don't know. Enter her classroom acknowledging year 6 kids, 10 to 11 years. So this is probably based in Europe somewhere. Teacher pointed to at a monitor. It's not working. Screen all lit up. Quick investigation. Turn on the PC, then walk away silently as it boots up. Call to classroom. Modeled care in classroom full of 7-8 year people. And the projector's not working. In fact, the projector is all lit up, working fine, but there is no image mirrored from the laptop. Method: the laptop connects to a powered switch which allows the laptop PC image projected to a screen. This is a frequent problem repeated by the same teacher's laptop not attached to switch, power cable pulled out of switch, but this was pure stupid. In this case, the switch was unpowered and I had to access the switch at the wall and turn it on. There you go, somebody turned the switch off. Oh, I did that before Easter to save power. To save poverty.
Oh.
New apology confirming why I didn't like them. Last for the day, I spent 20 minutes cleaning Tipex off the monitor's screen because the teacher had left the pot and an unsupervised child in the classroom.
Cleaning what off the monitors?
Tipex.
The fuck is that?
I'm not sure. That was a lame one.
Huh. That was it?
Yeah, that was a really lame one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's frustrating when people
Have the
Don't,
fucking stupidity, yeah.
don't realize something so simple as, oh, I didn't turn it on.
And then it's automatically your fault that they didn't turn it on somehow.
Yeah. I actually had a dude call in once, and we went through the whole fucking gambit. We went over everything. You know, did you plug it in and plug it back? Plug it out, unplug it and plug it back in again. Did you make sure that all the wires are tight? Did you make sure this and that and the other thing? And we spent about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour on the call, and just scratching our heads why he didn't have internet. And then finally I heard his wife, I'm assuming, in the background going, "Oh, I found the problem." And then I go, "Oh, really? What did she do?" And he goes, "She plugged it in." I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't plugged in?" He goes, "No, bye."
Okay, so I did a little bit of scrolling and I found a few good ones.
Okay.
So this one is also pretty short. The laptop was too dirty to show to IT for repair, so he made it even dirtier, then gave it to IT. Huh?
Oh?
By user affectionate fig 9277. I'm posting on behalf of a friend of mine. A isn't an IT worker, but they work in an accounting firm, and this happened to the poor IT worker there. As supervisor, K had a company laptop. This laptop decided decided to die in the middle of the workday, just out of nowhere. Zoop, black screen charger, LED was also not turning on anymore. Sounds like it would be a power issue then.
Yeah.
So K decided he needed to bring it to IT. Smart move. However, because his laptop was so dirty, he felt he should clean it up a bit, otherwise IT would blame him for the laptop breaking during use. Okay. So I'm gonna edit my previous statement a little bit. It's either the power supply or it overheated because the fans got clogged up.
Okay.
Just from what we're hitting so far.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as some of the nightmares we've all seen, but it was covered with dust, streaks, hair, etc. And obviously, it was definitely his fault the laptop wasn't working anymore, as he clearly didn't take care of it. A watched as the supervisor, I'm assuming, cleaned his laptop using paper tissues and his own spit.
Ew.
And then he hands it to IT. I really want to know if there's like more to this. It's not looking like it.
Yeah, I remember seeing a thing where this dude had like fucking at least 50 dead cockroaches inside of his laptop.
How?
I don't know. He also had like fuzzy brown stuff coming out of the vents and different portions of the inside. It was really gross.
Not even Christmas is sacred from on Call of Duty. What? By user the J Train. I used to work at a mid-sized MSP as a network admin and had rotating on-call duty. Oh, I was thinking Call of Duty.
On-call duty. Okay.
I was thinking Call of Duty.
Okay.
And now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Not even Christmas is sacred from on-call duty. Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
We're just retards.
We. You're the one reading.
Yeah, well, you made the assumption too.
It's because of the way you said it.
Because I read it the way it was wrote. Go to bed.
No.
I used to work at a mid-sized MSP as a network admin and had rotating on-call duty with the other net admins on our team. Nick, this is about you.
Oh. But I was never on call. Nor an admin.
You are now. Happy promotion!
Okay.
We service a single large entity as well as several local companies, some of whom were operational 24 hours. So we had employees on our help desks who rotated shifts, so someone would be there 24 hours for calls and emergencies. The help desk people were instructed to elevate high priorities and emergencies to whoever was on call. If they couldn't handle it, and that included monitoring our internal error emails that would report possibly malicious IPs trying to access our network, though it did so poorly, and inform the network admin if it got serious. To add a little bit more context to this, we would get multiple one-off error emails a day showing IPs accessing the company site, and if there was only one, we would ignore it. If we started getting blasted with 100 emails, we'd take down and perform a few seizures, including blocking the IP to get it cleared up. Part of the problem was that these emails included a lot of text and numbers, but very little helpful information to go off of. So sometimes it was a crapshoot, especially since a very familiar or very similar email would come in documenting the legitimate traffic. So it would sometimes take a keen observer to tell the difference between the two. Do you understand any of what they're saying?
Yep.
Okay, because I don't. This is out of my league.
So basically, they had a group of people who were handling calls outside of regular business hours, and if they had like super duper big problems, they would forward these messages or calls to like on call, because apparently these people had very limited knowledge, which we had like an overflow center who did the same.
But what I'm meaning is the whole email IP thing.
Oh.
That's what goes over my head.
Yeah, it's basically a low level anti-DDoSing thing.
Okay.
Filtering thing, yeah. Or just spam filter, fancy spam filter.
My supervisor had to be called for Thanksgiving, or had to be on call for Thanksgiving, and had taken an on-call weekend for me in December. So as payback, and since I'm a gentleman, I offered to take the Christmas weekend on call since my family wasn't going anywhere, figuring nothing would happen. Even with our customers who operated around the clock, even they would shut down for Christmas, so there would be no customer calls for sure, leaving me with little chance of getting called. Made it through Christmas Eve, no problem. Got up Christmas morning and did all the Christmas stuff with my wife and kids, and then went to the in-laws' house to stay the night. Everyone's simply having a wonderful Christmas time, and then we all go to bed with visions of sugar plums dancing in our heads. At about 2 a.m., I get woken up by a phone call. It's our night help desk guy on Christmas night. It gets my butter better judgment, I answer the phone. Me, hello, help desk. Hey, sorry to bother you, but we're getting error emails from an IP I don't recognize. I'm worried it's an attack. Have we gotten multiple or just one? Multiple. 3 in the last hour. Okay, that's not an emergency. I'll look at it first thing in the morning. Okay, thanks. I'll let you know. Click. This wasn't on a landline, so that click was more metaphorical.
I see.
Fair enough. I went back to sleep and then got up around 6 a.m. December 26th to look into the attack we had just suffered. I remote into my work PC and start going through the error emails we had received the night before to find that once the help desk guy had marked as dangerous, sure enough we had gone 3 or 4 of them that night, so I checked the IP in question to block it from any future attacks and found that it was in fact an internal IP address.
Oh.
Uh-oh. That took a turn.
So you didn't do a very good job at vetting the IP.
This wasn't a new employee by any means, and he should have known what our internal IPs were, since we, as the networking team, trained the night shift people what to look for and what not to look for. And this was not an uncommon thing, as error emails would come in from internal servers legitimately across other parts of our network. So it wasn't something new to him. And what I think wasn't too snarky of a tone, I replied to the emails and pointed out that I would not be blocking our internal IP address from future attacks, and then shut my laptop and stared into the abyss for a brief moment. Still coming down from the highs and joys of Christmas that had just taken place the week before, but had come to an abrupt halt. Not just because it was now the day after Christmas, but also because my general merriment had been interrupted by a bunk help desk call that brought me out of Christmas mode and back into work mode. I pondered my life decisions up till that point. Thankfully, this wasn't an extended stay. Soon my kids were up, still excited from the Christmas festivities that still had yet to be ruined by the burdens and realities of adulthood or the concept of the passage of time. I was reminded that this job was just that, a job. It wasn't my life, and it wasn't my dream to work as a network admin for an MSP. I did it because it was a means to an end, and I was compensated fairly enough to be able to provide for my family and do the things I actually enjoyed doing. This didn't mean that I didn't enjoy the non-ridiculous aspects of my job, but that all of that needed to be kept in perspective for my life as a whole. Would that I could be reminded of that more often. Merry Christmas. J-Train, you word things very strangely.
Yeah, and he puts a little bit too much detail into things.
Yeah.
Like that could have been cut down at least by half.
This somehow reads, the first comment, this somehow reads as if you replace failed to ban with 24/7 shifts and on-call people. Anyhow, I'm the one scheduling our on-call team, and I love to schedule myself for Christmas because sometimes it just gives me a reason to just leave. Well, failed to ban, this is the user, the original poster.
Mm-hmm. OP.
Yeah. Well, failed to ban isn't necessarily as cumbersome and inaccurate as a guy sitting next to a phone checking his emails, so we went with the best option. Okay. What are we at?
An hour 24. Let's, I will find one more and then we'll be done.
Okay, because my voice.
Okie dokie. So, last one of the day. It's, I'll just keep escalating until I get what I want from user ITR Cool.
I approve. of the username.
What does that mean?
I approve. I like the username.
Okay, what does the username mean?
IT are cool.
Oh, IT are cool. Okay, I get it. So it says, I worked help desk for the IT department at my university. Paid well enough for a student, and I got a sharp discount on my tuition. Plus, my folks let me just stay with them for a pittance of rent. Since we lived like 5 minutes away from campus, I could walk to class. It was a perfect setup. Anyways, I'm on shift one afternoon during the first week of school one semester. Students were still getting their dorm rooms set up and connecting their gaming consoles or streaming devices, etc. And so this week was typically busier for us at the help desk. We typically had to do a lot of allowing MAC addresses. MAC address is like the...
I
know, but for the people.
Oh.
A MAC address is like the physical address for a house, but for a device. To bypass our NAT restrictions, which I'm not exactly too sure what a NAT is. I never really learned that.
It's just a different security type, I believe.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I've never looked into it either. Just that's what I've heard.
NAT restriction using a web form a student filled out, or as I walk in to the help desk. So you can imagine we have a ton of traffic that first week. Phone rings. Me. Thanks for calling the help desk at university. This is ITR Cool. How can I help you? EB stands for entitled brat. EB. Yes, I need more bandwidth for my internet connection in my dorm room. The speeds I'm getting are unacceptable, and I can barely connect to the PlayStation Network. Please boost my bandwidth to a minimum of 200 down and 40 up.
What?
Wow.
I don't even think I have that.
No, you have 100 up and 100 down. But that's because you have fiber.
I have the good internet.
Yeah. Me. I'm sorry, sir, but I do not have control over that. Our network admin and CIO, I'm assuming that's like chief internet officer or something like that.
Something, yeah.
Have set and determined the necessary bandwidth allowances for the dormitories along with the other buildings on campus by priority. We don't have enough bandwidth in our pipeline to accommodate that for you. EB. Well, I understand that, but you see, my father is CEO of a local company that donates to this university. And I think we can reach an understanding that I rightly deserve as an extension of my bandwidth increase due to my family's background. Please stop making excuses and get it done. Holy shit, my guy.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take a few minutes to fucking berate this kid.
Yeah.
First off, I don't give a shit. Dude, that's like fucking... Your fucking Batman's son. He walks up, you walk up and like, you're like, my dad is Batman. Sure.
My dad works at Nintendo.
But like, what has he done lately, you know? And also, like, I don't care who your father is. I'm still gonna treat you the way you treat me. If you're gonna treat me like a piece of shit, then I'm gonna treat you like a bigger piece of shit. And probably end up kicking you in the testicles.
Also, usually the way these things work, an internet company will give someplace like a university or a campus or a lodging place a certain bandwidth limitation, like let's say 17 gigs, right? And the place that gets the internet is like, okay, we have 17 gigs to play with. Let's give each dormitory a half a gig or 3/4 of a gig or something like that, just to even it out. And once they give you that limitation, you cannot go past it, no matter what you do. Whether you cry or bitch or moan or give them more money, what they give you is what they can give you. They cannot do more than that. So you, literally, you cannot get blood from a stone, bro.
I mean, you can if you beat it hard enough and smash your finger in the process, but you know.
But that's your own blood. It's not
But
stone
you're
blood.
still getting blood from a stone.
Okay, anyway. Me, once again, I'm sorry, sir, I cannot accommodate that, nor do I control that. EB is in a snooty rich boy tone. That's okay. I'll just go around you and keep escalating until I get what I want. Thanks. Click. And aside. The way we were set up was we had a single bandwidth pipeline for the whole school, see? And it was split two ways, the main campus building and the dorms. The former were a priority for the bandwidth needs, and the dorms came second, which, of course, state budgets being the way that they were, that's all we could afford financially as our primary ISP. And we had a smaller secondary ISP that was just for IT use in the server room. If worst case happened and we had a total ISP failure going on, we could still keep some services going. Probably the most important bits. It's always good to have some redundancies.
Like money and shit like that.
Yeah. So
That's
it wasn't
probably
that they couldn't physically allow the more bandwidth. It's just that the university couldn't afford it. Because speeds that big and for an area that wide gets really fucking expensive.
Yeah, and 200 up and what down?
What he wanted specifically was 200 up and 40 down. So just that alone would probably run you upwards of, if it was fiber, probably around $100, $150. If it was,
But I can't see a university running fiber either.
Some bigger ones like Harvard or Yale probably do, but
Yeah, well, generally speaking, you know, the
Yeah.
average.
depends on that area. It was probably either, it was probably most likely just ground cable, not fiber.
Like copper or something.
Yeah, which that would probably run you for that speed. It would probably run you just by yourself upwards of maybe $300.
But it's okay because I'm a rich kid, me.
Yeah. The world should bend to my will. Anyway, so unfortunately the dorms got less bandwidth and thus less speed. You just had to learn to time out when the best time to connect online for gaming and streaming was. And that was not in the evenings when everyone was back from class. For surfing the web and checking email, it was fine. For gaming and streaming video, not great, but it was alright. But it was what it was. Instead of streaming, you were better off collecting DVDs or renting them from the then still open video store in the local area and connecting in a LAN with other dorm mates if you wanted to game multiplayer. Which, yeah, there are definitely certain times of day that you can definitely get better speeds than other times.
Really, the time of day also affects that?
Yeah, I mean, look, if a single small company like the one that I worked for, if their maximum output for this area is like 1,000 gigs or something like that, that 1,000 gigs needs to be shared by every single person in that area. So Southern Idaho, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if everybody is online trying to stream and game around 7 o'clock or so when people get off of work and start sitting down and getting comfy, yeah, those speeds
And
can
yet, here we are at
6:30.
and we're not all that comfortable.
Well, I mean, you know,
Ish.
yeah. Anyway, I and the CIO and network admins were on casual terms. The IT department of the school was a tight-knit group. So I later asked them both how that all went down. EB escalated all the way up to the CIO, who promptly told him to go pound sand and that he would not be receiving more bandwidth just because he was local company CEO's son. If he wanted more bandwidth, he'd have to go get his own personal data plan and hotspot to do that. EB lost his fucking mind and threatened to get his CEO dad involved. CIO said, go ahead, and called his bluff. Nothing ever happened, and as far as I know, EB made do. Or went to get and got his daddy to buy him a fancy cellular hotspot for his special internet needs after his daddy talked to our CIO and got cleared to do so. Our CIO was a firebrand guy that knew how to handle himself in any situation and knew how to stand up to bullies and read political situations easily. Which, mobile cellular hotspots, depending on what company you go through, and especially if you want that kind of speeds, thousands of dollars.
I don't know enough about
Or
cellular.
close to thousands of dollars, yeah.
I don't know enough about cellular hotspots, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Unfortunately for us, EB stuck around for a full ride, 4 years in the dorms, and so like clockwork, at the beginning of each semester, we reset the NAT restriction filters between semester breaks for security reasons, and you had to get your MAC addresses resubmitted every semester as a result. So I know what that means. I know that if you put a MAC address behind a NAT restriction, it basically means that every single time you boot up your PlayStation or whatever you're trying to get on, instead of your PlayStation having to, can I have access, please? Instead of having to do that, it just automatically has access.
Yeah.
Which just it speeds things up just a touch.
We should get like a tablecloth or something for this.
Yeah, we probably should. He would call in with the same snooty attitude about other random junk. Please reconnect the cable jack in my room. The Wi-Fi here is crap. This was after we had disconnected and pulled all older copper connections out of all campus buildings to save on infrastructure costs. Save for that which had to be physically disconnected, and the brand new WAPs we had mounted covering all the
White ass pussy?
No. I think if I'm thinking of the right term, I think a WAP is like a Wi-Fi repeater to get longer
Wi-Fi access point, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a repeater. We always drew straws to see who got to have to deal with him. Which, yeah, I've dealt with people like that before.
As have I. Obviously, us both in different circumstances, but we have our fair share.
Yeah.
And guys, if you come from money or fame or a fucking hole in the ground, if you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect, and I'll see what we can fucking do.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's nothing we can fucking do. You know, like, whether that be because of policy or technological restrictions, at the end of the day, if I can't do it, I can't do it, and I'm sorry. But if you're gonna act like a dick, I'm not even gonna fucking try and help you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be like, hey, guess what? Fuck you.
Yeah, there was this dude, I think he was out of Lewiston, who wasn't happy that the highest that we could go at the time was, I think, 40 download and 12 upload. I think that was our maximum we could do on wireless internet. And I unfortunately got him, and I was like, hey man, we can't get anything higher than that with wireless, and we don't have fiber in your area, so I'm sorry about that. And he goes, oh, well, I'm willing to pay. And I said, okay, well, I don't, you can't, it's not doable, because with wireless internet, the more output that a tower makes, the more energy it costs to keep it up. And not only that, but there's also heating issues, because they're literally shooting invisible lasers at your house. And
hard to hit a moving target now, isn't it?
shit gets hot.
You know what else gets hot?
What?
When people stop tasting my nukes.
Oh yeah, we haven't done that in a while. Shit.
I had to find some way to... I've been so fucking occupied on getting those t-shirts made.
Yeah.
That I honestly forgot that was a thing we said, too.
Yeah.
Anything from the...
Not yet, no. Nope, not yet. But let me finish up the story real quick, and then we can get on with it. No, you're good. But anyway, he asked to talk to my manager, and manager came over and talked to him, and basically said, look, unless you want to put up the cost of building your own personal tower, we cannot upgrade your internet. He's like, well, what's the cost of that? And she goes, well, building costs is about $7,000. And then upkeep on that is about $200 to $300 a month. And then the plan itself will run you about $1,000. And he goes, so like near $10,000, I'm not paying that. And she goes, okay, well then, sorry we couldn't resolve your issue, bye. And hung up on him.
I mean, I feel like if you knew what you were doing and you had the right material, you could make like a redneck Wi-Fi tower for a lot less.
Maybe, but
it wouldn't be able to provide, Wi-Fi to an entire area. I realize. But you see what I'm saying? Like,
But also, where are you going to get the Wi-Fi from to begin with? You're gonna leech it off of my companies? That's pretty illegal.
I'm just saying. Also, I don't think it's illegal if you do it smartly in a redneck fashion.
I suppose.
In other words, you do it in the middle of the fucking forest.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Then therefore, it's not illegal. And if anyone fucking steps on near it, you just go, shh, get off my lawn, boy.
Yeah. So, today is what? Wednesday? Wednesday, yes, today's Wednesday. Holy shit. I need to stay off my phone while we're doing these. But today's Wednesday. We probably won't record again until next Tuesday. So hopefully that'll give Morgan some time to recover and not be so sick.
Yeah, I've been chewing on, or sucking on, sucking on cough drops this entire time.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by his speech.
Yeah, so like when I was fucking reading one of the stories, I had to fucking chew it.
Yeah.
And just swallow it.
Yeah.
Which did not feel great.
Yeah, I bet not.
But it made me super self-conscious too, so I was just like, ah! You know.
So, thank you, one and all, for joining us for episode 10 of the Taboo Tater Tots Club.
It's our 10th anniversary. We're 10 years old.
Yay.
Or we're 10 EP old.
5. Half 10 is 5, so at this point, when this goes up, it'll be about 5-ish weeks that we've been doing this.
We've been doing this for more than a month now. Then.
I think we've been doing this, recording anyway. I don't know about uploading, but recording for a little under a month right now. This episode will probably go up in about 2.5 weeks from today.
Are we really that far behind?
So we have episode 6 up right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be able to get episode 7 up by Friday, which will be the 26th. If not, because I got a lot of shit to do tomorrow and the next day. I might not be able to put up episode 7 until Monday the 29th. But if all goes according to plan, we will have 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 episodes ready to be uploaded and scheduled.
It's crazy to think though, because it doesn't feel like we've done that many.
No, not really.
I still thought we were around like 5, you know.
Well, we have 6 uploaded right now.
But like it felt like we were still around 5.
Recorded.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense. But thank you so much for everybody who listens to us. We appreciate all the support. I know we've gotten a couple of thumbs up, and our first episode is, of course, the best one
So far.
I do plan on, hopefully, this coming week, doing some, if I can recover that fucking email address, or making our own little Reddit account at least, so I can do some advertising there. I do want to do some advertising on Facebook a little bit, but
and then once we get the fucking t-shirts in too, that will... sorry, fan. Hey, look, it's our biggest fan. I can't believe it took us that long to fucking make that joke.
That's fine.
Hopefully once we get those t-shirts made too, that will also kickstart a lot of the, not fundraising.
Advertising?
That!
Yes.
I had it and then it went, woo!
Yeah. But yes, remember to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Remember there's a Patreon. If you subscribe for $2, you get your name at the end in a credits sequence type deal at the end of each episode. And then for $5, I think you get access to super secret episodes. Right now we only have the one, but I'm hoping maybe next week, if you're feeling up to it, to actually record commentary on The Dark Knight.
Okay.
So
And for $30, you'll get a picture of my ass. Just kidding.
yeah, let's not do that. But thank you one more time for listening and all of the support that we have been getting lately, which isn't much now, but we're hopefully one of these days we'll get some more. So thank you. I
And-
hope you have a good day and your mother does not die in a house fire.
And for all you listening out there, I just want to say thank you and stay taboo, you tater tots.
Tater toots. Tater titties. Tater toddles.
That was supposed to be the end.
I'm still tater.